That's us. Really, I don't need the break there, so I can take that away because that's the last case. So it's not going to go on to anything else if that happens. Okay, so we're almost done with the entity class. I've got one more big method to do, and I will type that out off screen and show you in a little second. Okay, so here it is. On kill entity happens when the entity is killed. Use super to make sure everything above this kind of level of abstraction is done. Check if the difficulty setting is greater than 2, and if it is, you want to check if it is 2, and there's a random next boolean return. So I guess that means that if the difficulty setting is equal to 2, and this random actually comes up, then nothing else happens. Otherwise, you want to have a neutral from the world object, and you want to copy the location and angles from this living base, remove the entity, and do whatever this living data thing. I think that just takes the living data and gets rid of it. But then it spawns it back in, and then there's this weird line with all the positions in it that whatever that is. See description for play Oz SFX. I think that's probably something to do with a sound, and we can probably take that out. But I'm going to leave it in just in case. There's nothing wrong with it just now, and I'll make sure that that doesn't need it. Yeah. I think that this is the video where I've had most trouble trying to get it finished before the time when I had to record it. Just because of all this, it's quite strange. Okay, so we've now done the kill method, so that's what happens when you kill the entity. We have 2 more methods left in this class, and we're done with that. And then we've just got some small stuff to do, and it's no more of the random rubbish. It's all stuff that I can explain properly. Okay, this is a health update, so it handles the health update, and this only happens on the client side, because I guess you don't want this to happen twice. Whoops, that's not what I wanted to do. Okay, and it's called public voids handle health update. And it takes a byte. Which is I guess the health value. Let's get these imported. Okay, so then we need to check if this value is 16. And if it is, we want to actually, that's not needed. I've just realised that right there. That's not needed, actually. So the only thing we need to do in here is handle the thing that I actually had. Is that right? Yeah. The thing I had there was something to do with a zombie regenerating health for some reason. And that was just taken straight from it. So that is actually not needed. Because we do not want to do that. So that's even simpler. And the last thing is asking if it can despawn. So it's a boolean method called can despawn, and it means that if it's far enough away, can you despawn this entity? And basically, to save your computer, return true. You don't want all those just sitting there. Okay, that's just done the entity. That was a long job and a lot of I call it rubbish, but it's not rubbish because it does something, but it's just stuff that doesn't. It's not really good for teaching anything because it's all the same. So yeah, so that's that bit over with. We're done that. So now what we need to do is we need to deal with the rendering of the texture. So I need a new class, and I'm going to call it render troll. Okay, this class is going to extend render living, so it's a render of a living thing. we should be able to import that. Okay, let's move on for a minute. Actually, I'm gonna find out where that is. Okay, I'll be back in a second when I find out where that class is. Okay, so I found it, but then I realised I hadn't put extends in, so that's what happened. I got ahead of myself as usual. Okay, so we want to extend render living. Oh, there's too many spaces. So that's going to moan for a minute until we do all the stuff we need to do in here. So what we want is we want a resource location that's similar to what we did with our GUI for opening the chest, if you remember that. Okay, so private static. This is up the top, just we're going to make a final resource location. And I'm going to call it texture. And we want a new resource location. If you remember, what happens in a resource location is it takes the mod name, mod ID in the first parameter, and then you give it the path to it in the second parameter. So it's models troll and troll.png, and I'm just going to make sure that's right before I go ahead. Get rid of that. Okay. Assets tutorial models troll. Yep. Okay, that's right. So that's the exact same as we did for the GUI for our chests. So now we need a constructor. This takes a model base and a float part to it. The model base is the kind of block structure of an entity. So you've got the head, the body, the arms and legs and stuff, and there's different models for different things. So that's why I've just extended one that's already there. If you made your own, then you'd have to. I'll show you exactly where all the extra stuff would be, but it's quite a big job to make your own. But I guess if you need it, then that's the only thing you can do. You want to super that base and part 2, and then the only other thing we need to do this is make sure it can return the resource location, so it's a protected resource location function. And it's one of these func things, 110775 underscore A. And it takes an entity and you want to return the texture. I guess these weird function names are quite good for knowing which ones are which, because you can have numbers, but then when you look at it, when you don't know what, coming in from an outside perspective, those numbers aren't very helpful. Okay, that's the render done. All we've done is tell it what texture to use, and that's us. Let's save that. Okay, now we're on to the model class, which is the one that will change significantly if you are not using a model that's already there. So model troll, is that spelled right? Hope it is. Yep. So right here I'm going to extend model biped, which is a two-legged creature. I've got the S. And I can import that. Okay. So this class is very small compared to the class that you would have if you were making your own, or you can go into Technate and you can generate this class based on what you've got, and there's a lot of stuff that comes up here, but because I'm just extending the model biped thing that's already made for me, actually what I'll do is I'll go and show you that if I can find out where it is. Where is it again? I think it's in here. Model biped. Okay, so you've got the head, body, left leg and right leg and all that stuff, and it's all this. So you can either type all that out yourself and work out what all that means, or you can get Technate to generate it for you, but because this is already done for me, I'm not going to bother changing it, because all I want is just a two-legged creature. So what we want is a constructor, and just to make sure that we don't mess up the texture. We want to give it a width and a height. So the texture width is 64 by default, and texture height is 32 by default. So that's the default texture, the kind of mob or player texture file. So that's what happens. Okay, so want to there's a method we want called render. So the public void method called render takes the entity to render, and it takes I have a lot of floats, so float f1. Now let's float f1, f2. How many have we got? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. f3, f4, f5, and f6. Need to import entity here. That one there. Oh, did I import the? Yeah, I did. Okay, just a couple of things here. Super.render. It's called different things. F1, crap. Okay. I'm going to delete that and do that again because it's easier to get it to tab along for me. Render, run entity, F1, F2, F3, F4, F5, and F6. And something called set rotation angles. And we want to give it, this time, the same parameters, but it's backwards, kind of, so you go F1, F2, F3, F4, F5, F6, and the entity there. Okay, so that's that done. There's two more things. What I'm going to do is I'm going to override the set rotation angles now. So public void set rotation angles. This takes float F1, float F2, float F3, float F4, float F5, F6, and an entity. Okay. And all we want to do in here is do the super thing. F1, F2, F3, F4, F5, F6, and entity. So in here, if you wanted to do extra stuff, like in the zombie class, it makes it so that the arms are out in front of itself, like the zombie walks. That's where you would do it if you want to do any kind of fine tuning or anything. But the biped stuff does all the walking and the swinging for you of the arms. And the only other thing is something called set rotation. And actually, I think the only reason I used that was because, yeah, actually we don't need that at all because that was something I was testing out and I forgot to take that out. Let's scrub that out. So we don't need that. Oh, maybe. No, I'm going to put it in just in case because I didn't try it without it. Set rotation. I'll just call it model for simplicity. And we need float X, float Y, and float Z. And then all you want to do is model dot. Oh, need to import model renderer. Come on. And it's model dot rotate angle X equals X. And I'm going to copy and paste that and just change these to Y and Z. Z. Okay. Yep, so that's our model class done. As I said, as I showed you, the biped one's significantly more complicated, but it does it all for you. So If you're just wanting a standard walking around kind of monster entity, then you know, why not use that? It's there for a reason. So okay, so the last class we have to create is something to do with our sounds, and it's just, remember when we did the bone meal event for the crops, you had to create a class that would register the events for the bone meal. Similar to this, only we want sound handler. Let's hope there's not another class called sound handler in Minecraft. I'm assuming not. So remember that, forge subscribe for the forge event, and public void on sound load event, and we're going to need to import sound load event and import forge subscribe. Okay, so this is where you add your sounds to the game. So we need to go to the event, and there's something called manager in there, and that allows you to add a sound like that, and then you give it the string, which is similar to the way to show them, tell Minecraft about them in the game. Tutorial mod : and then you give it the file, but you do need to put the extension on it, so it's an OGG file. Okay, I'm going to copy and paste that again because typing all that out is going to take longer. Troll heart, troll live, and troll death. That's that there. Okay, so the last two things we've got to do is deal with our proxies. So this is it here. So in this one we've got something there that just it's a blank method really, and we need to put another one in there called public void register sound. And in here, wait a minute. Okay, sorry, I am getting ahead of myself here. Okay, I need to go and check which one is which. I'll be back in a second. Okay. Well, the reason I got confused about that is because in the one I was testing it in earlier on, where I've got a little bit more stuff in it, one of them has actual code in it just now. The server one, which doesn't extend anything, is the one where you want the blank methods in it. So public void register sound. Okay, that's that for that. In here we want to actually put stuff in here now because we've got some things to put in the renders. Now I forgot to write this thing down, so I've just copied and pasted it from my test, and hopefully that won't do anything bad. Okay, so rendering registry is the Forge render kind of library thing, and there's a method called register entity rendering handler. You give it the entity class, then you give it the rendering class, and the new render class takes the model class plus the par2 thing, which is 0.5f. I took that from Zombie. So that's where all that comes together. So you can see where the entity, the render, and the model all comes together to make this full mob. And inside register sound, we want to do our Minecraft Forge event bus thing. So it's an event bus, which is similar to what we did with the bone meal, and we need to register a new, what do they call it, sound handler, and that will register our sounds for us. Okay. And then the last thing we have to do, as usual, is to go into our main class and deal with this. So what I'm going to do is, as you can see, where's my load method here? There's way too much stuff in there now. So you can see up here I did proxy.register renders, which was there and did nothing until now. Now all we need to do is put proxy.register sound as well. And that will load both the mob models and the sound into the game. Let's go down to the bottom after what we did. And this is the new part. So we need to register the entities and add the spawns and add a name for it. So let's go for entity registry. So this is what registers the entities in the game, with Forge obviously, not the vanilla ones. Register mod entity. We need the entity class, which is entity troll dot class. That's the class. The entity name is the internal name, so I'm just going to call it troll. The ID is the ID of the entity. Now, this will clash with vanilla ones, so I'm going to put 40 just to completely make sure that there's nothing that can get it. This is the mod that we want. The tracking range is default set to 40 whenever I've seen it, so I've just kept it there. No, sorry, not 40. 80. Sorry. Update frequencies and ticks, which is 1. Sends velocity updates is about the kind of acceleration and all that of the entity in the world, and it's set to true because it sends the updates. Okay. Let's go for language registry just now. We need to go back to entity registry for a minute, but let's put the name in first. And this is, you need to put the add string localization thing. It takes the entity.troll.name. So that's the internal name that we just created a wee minute ago. It takes the language, which again is on US, English US, and it takes the name that we want to give it to it, so I'm just going to call it troll. Okay, and then we want some spawns. So entity registry dot add spawn. Where are we? Add spawn. Yep. Class entity troll dot class. Weighted probability is an integer that tells you how likely it is to show up. I'm going to put it high because I want to find it when I'm showing you it. You can put it down really low. The minimum amount that can spawn in a group is 0. Maximum amount of group that can spawn is, say, 4. And that will produce kind of small, medium groups of them. Type of creature, so we need to go to enum creature type. And I'm going to give it, you can have ambient creature, monster, water creature. I'm going to give it monster, because that's what it is. And this is the biomes. Now, there is a biomes list that is all the biomes, and when I tried that, Minecraft crashed. So unfortunately, I don't have a solution for doing them all at once. So basically, if you want to spawn them in different biomes, then you're going to have to type this line many times with this different thing. So it's biome genbase dot, and then you give it something. So desert's quite easy to spot the mobs in. You can't put biome list, that's what I was talking about. It crashes it for some reason. So that doesn't work. And also, I guess, if you wanted to do different kind of like densities in different biomes, then you could do that. So that's us for that. Now we just need to test it. So I will unpause. I'll jump to when Minecraft loads. Okay, so I'm back. Finally found the desert. It took a long time. The one time that I really wanted to find it right away, couldn't find it. So now I've got a desert. Just let's make sure that's a desert. Yep, it's desert. Okay, so let's now turn the time to dark so that we can see the mobs spawning, and then hopefully we'll see some of our mobs. There'll be a little group of them somewhere, hopefully. It can be quite hard to find them, especially if you have to play on short like I am at the moment because of the lag. Come on, there should be some here. Oh wait, there's one. Excellent. So it does look at you, and I don't know if that's actually been picked up on the mic, but it is making quite a lot of noise. Yep. Of course, I'm not quiet because I am on creative. That's actually quite creepy. Okay, let's put it on to. Actually, what I'm going to do is before I do that. Nah, I'll just let it kill me. The zombies. But let's actually. Okay, 0, and let's go for it. It is. Oh no. Okay, so it's attacking me. Maybe I should have given myself some more. I don't know, but we know the sound. Yep, okay, so I'm gonna... Okay, well, at least we know that works. Okay, so that's us done. So we had a very long class that had lots of confusing stuff in it about the entity. The render class does the texture, the model that does all the rotation angles and stuff. The sound handler to add our sounds to the game. We added a method to the server proxy, the client proxy. We actually registered some stuff for a change, and in our main class we added this register sound and we gave our mob a name, registered it, and added a spawn to the desert, and then spent quite a long time trying to find the desert. So that should be it. Yeah, that's us done. So next tutorial, not quite sure yet. If I can get some kind of dimension tutorial started, then by all means I'll put it up. If it's not ready yet, then I'll put something else up instead. Yeah. But anyway, so thanks for watching, and I'll see you next time.